First of all, thank you everyone for being on this call today. It's great to see all my buddies and friends on the call. It's been a great ride for all of us with NAIFA-Texas, and I'm Jason Talley. I'm the governance chair, and we wanted to have a call, especially for those folks that have interest in serving on the board, and make sure that they have a good understanding of what it takes to serve in this role. If you notice, I don't have my face on the video now just because I cut it off because I was having problems with the internet a little bit. So maybe that has saved a little of the internet power. But at this point in time, I want to turn it over to Karen Easterling. She has some questions she'll be asking the group. And we hope that this will be a great education for you all as we go through this process. So Karen, we appreciate your service to NAIFA-Texas. As most folks probably know on the call, that you're a veteran State Farm agent and have been serving with NAIFA-Texas and the group for a long time. I'll let you take it away, Karen.
Thank you, Jason. And thank you to all the gentlemen on the call and all the listeners. I can't see you. I don't know how many there are, but I'd like for you to introduce yourself, and let's go in the order that you were president, which will naturally start with President Randy. Introduce yourself and what year you were president of NAIFA-Texas.
Randy T. Robertson, president 2009 to 2010.
All right. And Mr. Secretary, that would mean you followed him, at least in this group.
I think we had Steve Ellers and somebody else in between us. I was president of NAIFA-Texas 2012, 2013.
Okay. And did you lose your comb on the trip? Can't afford one?
I did. There are no combs here.
Okay. And for those of you that do not know, Doug Massey is sitting national secretary for NAIFA and will be president in 2 years if he lives that long. Okay. Then Joey, that was not a premonition. Anybody, don't call me. Don't save the emails. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Karen. My name is Joey Usry. I was the president 2013 and 14. Doug, thank you for giving the year, because it was easy for me to come up with my years since I always follow Mr. Massey. It's an honor to do that. But I'm out of my home association has NAIFA Houston, and I had the privilege of being the president of the local and then moving on to the state level. And it's been an honor to serve with everybody that's on this call.
Awesome. All right. Lane, you're next.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lane Boozer, and I followed the very large shoes, which I've yet to fill. Those shoes were Joey Usry's. My year as president was 2014 and 15, and my home association is NAIFA Dallas.
Hey, and Mr. Chair.
Jason Talley, 2015, 2016. I followed Mr. Lane Boozer, and that was the years I served.
All right. And for anybody that is encountering a delay, I'll go real slow. Okay. All right. Let's start off with you, Randy. I'd like to ask y'all a couple of questions, and it may seem obvious, but why do you feel it's important to serve on the NAIFA-Texas board? Whether you're president or not, at any capacity, why is that important?
I serve because you need to serve. If you love your industry and if you love having your job as an insurance agent, you need to serve. Because if you don't serve, then you get who you get if you don't serve yourself. Just like voting. If you don't go to vote and somebody wins that you don't want, well, it's your fault because you didn't vote. So serve, because it's important to save our industry, keep it going, and you've got to have people serving to continue to do this. How's that?
That was excellent, Randy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Boozer, what advice would you give a new NAIFA-Texas board member or even an incoming president?
Well, to either, it could vary, but to both of the candidates, be it either a director or an incoming president, I would say come with an open mind, yet come with your ideas and knowing that if you can see a potential for growth or an opportunity for a positive change, stick by that conviction, sell that, Because you know if it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And sometimes change is good. And people are sometimes resistant to change because we've always done it that way. Well, we are at the beginning of the trail of a lot of ways we have never done it this way before. We need dynamic, strong leaders who have good, fresh ideas and the conviction to carry those forward. The industry needs you, your association needs you. And to cap that off, I find just serving in any capacity brings me a lot of personal satisfaction. And the networking comes with that. I'll leave it with that. Thanks, Karen.
Well, I'd like for you to elaborate just a little bit. Did you feel like when you served on the board, and especially year as president-elect and the next year as president, did you feel personal growth and professional growth?
Absolutely. Perhaps it was that I was busier than I would have been had I been just practicing in my own agency here. And that kind of forced a sense of urgency on me, which sometimes I need. But also, you know, just making those connections, those one-on-one connections led to growth, both in my own business, and then in doing so helped others grow their own businesses, let alone moving forward with the business of the association. We had some good legislative successes during those years, and we continue to, but those don't happen without us.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Joey, what's the most difficult thing you had to overcome as a NAIFA-Texas leader?
That's really not a fair question to me, because it's an easy answer. You know, originally, whenever I was looking at my year going forward, you start off with plans about what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And I think everybody knows that as I was coming in as president of NAIFA-Texas, which was a dream of the dream, as it was, you know, a lifetime achievement to have that honor. But I got a phone call from Monica Lopez telling me that our CEO, our exec, had been diagnosed with basically terminal cancer, and that that was going to upend everything. And so what I went in with a list of things that I wanted to accomplish, which is really just a continuation of those that come before you. So we had the process of dealing with that over a fairly short period of time. And, you know, everybody on this call, I look at everybody here and how important they were during that process, and how it was a team effort. And Doug and Lane and Jason and Karen and Randy, how we had to operate as a team during that time. And so we had to transition from an exec that had been with us for years, who was really in a lot of ways the face of the organization, and who we leaned on and depended on entirely, possibly too much, right? And then we had to go through the process of establishing a search committee, which is a big deal. And then we went through the search process. And so I had the challenge and the privilege of starting the year with one exec and finishing the year with a different one. And so I would say that what I got out of my year was different than what I thought, but in a way, it still reinforces one of the things that you get out of your involvement with NAIFA, which is that you bond with those people that you serve with. You do, I think, recognize a higher calling, which is what this is. It is a higher calling. Our industry, our jobs, our career is a calling to help people, and serving on this board, I believe, is also a calling. And you don't always know how it's going to work out and how it's going to turn out, but
Well, kind of following up, Joey, it's like being part of something larger than just yourself, or
Right.
just your business, whatever capacity you're working. But so what I'm hearing you say is that your role going into, especially president of NAIFA-Texas, it changed your expectations going into it?
It did. It changed. I mean, it's, you know, you think about how you start something, and I just want to tell everybody that's thinking about getting on the board and running for the board. I mean, it is a high honor to serve on the NAIFA-Texas board. The NAIFA-Texas Association and the NAIFA-Texas board is respected amongst the federation as leaders. If you come on this board, you will be seen as a leader of one of the most dynamic associations that plays a huge part in the association. But yeah, you'll have to adjust and adapt. Start with, I think, Lane, you said it well. Start with a vision. At the same time, though, know that you're going to have to change and adapt. Karen, did I even come close to answering your question?
You did. You always do, Joey. You did. Thanks. Okay, so Mr. Secretary, Doug Massey.
Yes.
As a board member or past president of NAIFA-Texas, did you ever feel like it was too time consuming from your personal life or your personal production? Because people listening now may feel like, I don't have time. I just don't have time right now. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, if it's something you want to do, you're excited about doing it. Somebody told me years ago, they won't let you fail, and they won't let you fail. And I've gone on to the next level, and they're not going to let me fail as hard as I try. But yes, there is a time commitment, but I'll share this, and I know Randy has shared it and others. Being president in 2012 and 2013, those were my highest, to that point in my career, the highest production in most commissions I'd ever made on an annual basis. And I actually went back and broke down the last 6 months of 2012, first 6 months of 2013, when I served as the president. That split year was bigger than the 2 years. You know, you did have to work a little bit harder. You did have to get things done. You couldn't procrastinate, but I wouldn't take for it. And the relationships that you build and you form, and if we have time later, I'll tell a story about the relationship with Lane that led to a very large sale. That's just because I knew somebody else that knew somebody or thought they might know somebody, and it worked out very, very well. So it is, but the rewards that it's hard to see until you get there, they're there. And the relationships you build will help you further your career. And and honestly, you're dealing with people that are successful and have done very, very well. And you just learn from those folks about little things, how they conduct their business, how they set up their calendar, how they schedule appointments, and just all kinds of things that will more than make up that difference is time well spent. I'll wrap that question up with that.
Excellent. I appreciate that very much. And so, Doug, considering you are now on the NAIFA National Board of Trustees and Secretary and be incoming President-elect, who is somebody you admire as a leader? And tell us why.
I'll give two. As a leader, on a national scale, outside of NAIFA, it would be Ronald Reagan. He was able to work with both sides. I think, he worked with Democrats, although he was Republican, and that's something that we have to do in NAIFA is work with both sides of the aisle. But he was able to do that and do a lot of great things. As far as, somebody within our industry, I'll go back to Ron Mullen, and he came through and he was our national committeeman in the years that most of us on this call served. And we learned a lot from Ron. He was a former mayor of Austin, parliamentary procedure, conducting business and association business. And some of y'all may not know Ron, but he was a real key figure in that transition that Joy talked about earlier. He was there with us. And so
who was the first name? Doug, who was the first name you mentioned?
Ronald Reagan.
Oh, Ronald Reagan. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, mine must have cut out. Very good. Two great examples. And as he mentioned, Ron Mullen, a former mayor of Austin and a favorite for everybody.
Karen, Randy, can I add something?
Please do.
As far as production, the 4 biggest years of my career were when I was on the NAIFA-Texas board. If I had never been in NAIFA and had never been a delegate for NAIFA-Texas and went to 20 plus straight national conventions, I would have never met people like Van Miller and Marvin Feldman. And Van challenged me one year to sell 1,000 policies in a year because he had done it every year. And I did it 4 straight years while I was on the NAIFA-Texas board. and I got both of them to come speak at our convention. They came in both of them. We had both of them, which I consider both of them the two probably best life insurance agents in the world. And we had them both that day, and I would have never met them if I hadn't been involved with NAIFA-Texas. So not only did my production go up, but the people that I have met, that would have never happened if I hadn't have served.
Hey,
Thank you,
Randy,
Randy.
hey, Randy and Karen, I mean, we get the floodgates going when you start talking about stories like this, but I had the privilege of going to Amarillo's sales caravan this last year, and one of the keynote speakers was Van Miller. Well, guess who volunteered? I jumped up and down, and I got to take Van back to the airport from the meeting, right? So I got to take Van. I got 3 sales ideas, and probably, I mean, unbelievable opportunity just because of my involvement in the association.
Thanks to you both. And you know, I have failed to mention that all the gentlemen on this call are Lilly grads. So I want to thank them for that and tell you, you don't have to be a Lilly grad to run for the NAIFA-Texas board, but it sure helps speak the same language when you are. Lane, I'm going to ask you this. Did your Lilly class, what took up more of your time over a 6-month span? Taking Lilly or serving as president? If you could condense presidency into 6 months, which took more of your time?
Well, you know, had I done either of them to the best of my potential, which looking back, I'm not sure I did, but I would say that Lilly probably took more time than serving as president because it is condensed. You know, it's a lot of material that you really compress into a very short period of time, considering the volume of what you do in Lilly. I'm not suggesting that there be any change in that curriculum at all. On the other hand, you know, you're not president overnight. You ramp up to it over a few years. And so then you've got a whole year to run with it. And then you're past president for the year after that. And those of us on this panel, are proof they never let us die. So in my case, this has been 20 plus years running, and about that number for everybody on this call. The short answer is Lilly took more time, but I wouldn't change either one of them. I love both of those experiences. I hope that helped.
It does. That helps. All right. Mr. Massey, I'm going to go back to you. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it and change one thing, wave it over NAIFA and change one thing about NAIFA, what would your magic wand do? Boom.
Probably the apathy among our members, and the thought that, you know, somebody else will do it when we all need to jump in and be a part. The more of us involved, the less work it is on those that are involved. So the apathy that, you know, think just paying your dues is enough. We need your leadership. We need everybody's contribution. I think that's the most frustrating thing. And we've got some big challenges coming, and I see things, but I have been privy to things that are coming down the pipe in our industry, in our association, and with tax law, and a number of things that we need to be on our game, and we need all the troops and all the help we can get. And one success, although our association nationally has shrunk in membership over the years, we're just as effective as we've ever been. I mean, this past legislative session, we were highly effective. No legislation hurt us, and those bills we wanted to get passed, they got passed. And we've had so many victories over the past, but we need a critical mass, and we're at a point where we need more members, we need more leaders to step up. And so I'm more than willing to talk to any of you individually if you have questions and concerns, as well. I know the other gentlemen, everybody on this call would be more than willing to help and individually work with you or mentor you, whatever you need.
Well, while you're keep going with that a little bit, what is one of the biggest problems NAIFA faces from where you sit that you're able to share?
I think no one specific thing without getting, you know, our industry and the work that this association has done over the last 133 odd years is protect our industry. All of our products have certain tax advantages that we've had to fight for and preserve. And it's been an ongoing battle. But when you look at the national deficit, the national debt, and the pay fors, which is, just deductibility of first 50,000 term life insurance, stretch IRA, so many things, disability income insurance having tax, favorability, and life insurance, cash values, and there's so many things in all of the products that are represented in our industry. They're under threat. I mean, when government goes to looking around and Congress goes looking around, how are we going to turn this deficit around, pay down the debt, do things? Well, there is a very rich, target-rich environment in our space, and we've got to protect those. And with fewer and fewer people, we've been successful so far, but we need to get involved, and it'll help you in your business. You'll learn things that you didn't know, you didn't understand, and so I think the threats to the way we do business now is probably the biggest threat we have out there on the horizon. I feel like we'll be successful, but we need all of your help.
Okay, agreed with all of that, 100%. Joey, do you have any ideas how we can get more people involved in leadership roles at whatever level they are in their career, or as a member of NAIFA? Do you have any ideas how we recruit more potential future leaders?
If I really truly had the answer to that question, I think I'd probably be on the throne, right, of NAIFA. But it's something that we've struggled with over the years. And one of our Mike Strubing, Karen, told me one time, the secret to success is work. And I mean, I think, how do we get more people involved? We all have to take responsibility and ask someone to be a member, ask someone to participate. What the challenge we have is that our association isn't mandatory. It's a voluntary organization, and we'd have to go back to the beginning of time to change that. And we all know that our society has gone the other direction from being a member. One of the challenges that we have, like Doug and Lane have said, is that we've been successful along the way. We continue to be effective. We continue to make a difference. Our products enjoy a lot of things. Whenever our members go to Capitol Hill, people want to hear what they have to say. Our PAC continues to be at the top of the industry in terms of raising money, and I think that's led to a lot of apathy in the industry and people depending on us to do it. And them not having to be members. So the challenge is, it's like a voluntary homeowners association. You get all the benefits of people mowing the grass and keeping everything neat and clean, and you don't have to pay the dues. And we as NAIFA members have carried that water. But that's not a solution to the problem. I think the solution is each of us have to stay involved. Each of us have to ask people to be members and to come alongside us and work. But I will say that the rewards have been tremendous, and I feel bad for people that have not been leaders in this organization, because frankly, I think all of us have gotten so much more out of it than we put into it. I'll stop, Karen. Thanks.
Amen. That was excellent. No, that was a great point, because once you participate at the level that all of y'all have, you get a great deal more out of it than you've put into it. And that stays with you for life, doesn't it?
It does.
Joey, do you see any up and coming industry leaders?
Goodness, the right answer to that would be to say yes, but I will tell you it's a challenge because we're not getting together as much as we do. So whenever you ask me that question, I think back to the state convention, right, that we had in Austin, and I saw so many great young advisors at that meeting that I say yes. But in another way, I look at the struggles that so many of our locals have been having, and those types of things, that I would say you know, I do get concerned because it's more important than ever for people to jump in and to get involved.
Excellent. Thank you. All
Mhm.
right, Randy Robertson. Did the pandemic change you or any of your participation since 2020?
No,
Okay, thank you.
I would like to add something that you talked about before, the magic wand.
Yes,
If I could have one thing back, I would like to have Des Taylor back,
Mm.
because Lily was hard because you were by yourself. All of us had Des Taylor to help us go through the presidency, and Des Taylor was unbelievable how good he was as our exec. So it's great to have somebody that helps you through. So all these people that we want coming on the board now, you will have plenty of help. Everybody that's been a past president is there to help you. Everybody on the board now is here to help you. But if you can find one person out there like Des Taylor to help you, it makes your job a whole lot easier and a lot more rewarding. I believe since I was president, every president after that has been a Lilly graduate. If we've got Lilly graduates out there that have never stepped up to serve, that was one of the reasons you went through Lilly, is to become a leader. So we need Lilly graduates that have never served to step up and become trustees.
it's a good point. I hope people are listening. But you don't have to be a Lilly grad. You could take Lilly while you're being a trustee, director, whatever the title is. But let's see. Does somebody need to serve at their local? You know, think a lot's changed since QME in 2020. And does somebody need to serve at their local before they raise their hand to want to be on the NAIFA-Texas Board of Directors? Doug?
No, I don't think you necessarily have to serve at your local. That's just the way we've always done it. You kind of progress the locals and then join the NAIFA-Texas board. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary that you have served as a local president.
And many times we had contested races. Lane, should somebody, if they weren't selected this time, should they run again, in your opinion?
Yes, absolutely run again. You know, I was involved in a handful of contested races. In some case I was the victor, and in some case I was not. And the simple fact is, I am probably better next year than I am this year. And I'm better for myself, and then therefore for the association or whatever capacity I'm serving. You know, don't take as a personal attack that you weren't victorious in a particular election. It doesn't make you any less valuable. There are other ways to serve, but absolutely come back and run again and show them how good you really are. Say, hey, look, you missed a whole year of this. Yes, run again.
Karen, this is Joey. I don't think you need to have served at the local level, but I do think it's because, and I say that because the world that we grew up in, the NAIFA that we grew up in, that was important, that you go through all of the chairs and that you do that, and then you would move on to the next level. Where our association has changed, and we're continuing to change, and so I don't think that that's necessarily a requirement. But the one thing that I did want to add was, I do think that you should go into this with the expectation that you're going to serve for more than just 1 year or 2 years. I know that this is an opportunity, you know, to really give back to the industry, that you're going to get more out of it. But I would at least be open to the possibility that you will learn all of the different roles on the board, and that you would be willing to become the leader ultimately, at least not be completely closed out to that fact. You know, I know some people will say, well, I'll give you a year, I'll give you 2 years, but I really think you should go into this with the idea that you would like to ultimately, you know, serve on the executive board, or that you be the president.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Lane?
I'd like to follow that also. you know, I agree with both Doug and Joey. It's not absolutely necessary that you serve at a local level before you serve at a state level or otherwise. But also recognize there's a lot of need for valuable leadership at the local level as well. And, you know, there are some voids of leadership throughout the Federation and in Texas also. And, you know, given the scheduling of how we do things now versus how we did when, say, Joey and Jason and the rest of us were there, you know, things have gotten to more of a quarterly even schedule than we're versus meeting monthly like we used to do for so long. I think there are opportunities in some cases where you could even do both at the same time. But yes, you could go straight to the state board, but don't turn your back on the locals, you know, just to skip over. You know, you've got, if you're an asset to the state, you're an asset to the local as well.
Great point.
Absolutely. All right. So Jason, if you've got internet going, feel free to jump in, but I'll throw this out to either one of you that want to answer first. Sometimes serving in a number of capacities can seem overwhelming. You know, you mentioned the time that it takes, or, you know, how it enhances your business, but how do you manage home, work, and NAIFA? How did you find the best way to manage when you felt overwhelmed? Because we all do. Jason, if you're there, jump in. Otherwise, I'll hand it to Joey.
While Jason figures out how to unmute himself there, I wrote down a word a few minutes ago that you know, you need to be intentional. I think you can't let things sweep you along, and you've got to go into it up front with an idea of how much time you're going to spend. I think you have to be disciplined, and that's one of the things that makes you better. That's one of the reasons why Randy and Doug and Jason and Lane, why they make more money after giving all those hours of service to the association. I think you're intentional, you time block, you're disciplined, and it also, you know, you've got to think about what your priorities are, right? God, family, career. Although I will tell you that when you're the president of the association, that's up there pretty high on the list. You know, it's not the most important thing, but you kind of have to act like it is. So let me just throw that in there. But be intentional, focused, and it just makes you a better person.
Well said. Doug, anything to add to
Karen?
that? Yes, yes, President
Karen,
Randy.
I think a great person to ask this question to is Danny O'Connell.
Hmm.
Danny goes from 4 under 40 to NAIFA Dallas president, to NAIFA Texas trustee, to NAIFA Texas president, to now he's on the NAIFA board, one right after the other. As all this time, he's also speaking at MDRT. So Danny O'Connell is the one person that has just been able to knock it all out in 1 year after another. And so Danny would be a great person to talk about how he continues to be able to do everything he does and still maintain his work level.
You're absolutely correct. And I want everybody to know and get it on the recording that Danny O'Connell was invited to be here because he is a great example of earning your stripes. And Doug, I see you're in motion there. Did you have anything to add to what Joey or Randy said about the juggle?
No, it takes, you have to prioritize, and if you've got your family and your agency and your employees supporting you, it takes care of itself. Like we shared earlier, my production went up, Randy's went up. The time commitment is worth it.
Let's see, I'm just reading the comments. Good to have cheerleaders. Thank you, David Russell. To celebrate wins, and also people to say keep going during the low times. So that's important. And Holly says, challenge the females on the call to be part of the solution. Need more women involved. And I will amen that, Holly. So what else? Anything in closing? I want to wrap this up inside of 5 minutes, but anything else that's come to mind for this magical Monday, everybody? Anything else that I haven't asked or you haven't had a chance to say? Jason is still having internet issues, but we thank him for a second year in a row leading this NAIFA-Texas Governance Committee. And I hope that NAIFA-Texas, Rebecca and Renee are flooded with applications for candidates after this call. And please forgive the novices here and the technical issues. You got to love technology, right?
Karen, I'd like to jump in here real quick.
Please.
I have been accused of sounding like Chris Christopherson when I sing, because he's almost as good as me. But he had a great song lyric, and I think there's one that's really applicable here, and that is, I'd rather be sorry for something I've done than for something I didn't do. So if you're on the fence about whether to act or not, just go ahead and jump over the fence. You know, if it's not for you, bail out in a year. But you know, you probably got more talent than you're giving yourself credit for, because we see it in you, and that's why you're invited to be on this call today. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. I agree with that 100%.
I have one thing to end with, but go ahead if anybody else, and I've got a little something to say before
Please.
we close the call at that time.
Go ahead, Doug.
Well, I can't tell you everything right now, but there are some very exciting things going to happen in the coming weeks as far as NAIFA. I was on a call this morning with the executive committee, and you're going to want to be a part of this. It's huge. It's very exciting. We don't have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed yet, but we're working on it. I think you'll all be excited about it. And also, as far as the NAIFA-Texas, we're going to celebrate our 100th anniversary. If you should decide to join the board, you'd be a part of that. And that's an exciting time. There's very few associations, businesses that make it 100 years. And so you're going to want to be a part of that.
So Doug, while you're saying that, talk a little bit about the good things that are coming from where you sit. Why should somebody run for NAIFA-Texas now? I guess what I'm wanting you to say is, as you look out in what Kevin May now calls the enterprise, the federation, the whole association, Texas has been very important. Texas is run with the big dogs, and not just because we're a large state, but can you talk briefly, so we can close in just a couple minutes, talk briefly about how other people view Texas from where you sit.
Well, it's an honor to sit in that chair and be on the board for the last 2 years now, serving as secretary. And you realize how we've done things right for so many times. We are the leader. We are the big dog in the room, and we're used as examples in our leadership, from John Neighbors to John Ruckle to Tom Curry, that have made their mark on the national and the way we've done things. So we're very, very well respected, and a lot of things that this is, I get to say, this is how Texas did it. This is how we did it. And it carries some weight. So I'm proud to be a part of that.
Thank you. Well said. Joey, any closing comments?
It was a good try to get whatever that was out of Doug that he's not free to share with us yet, but it's cool for us to have somebody at the table, Doug. And we're glad that you're that person. So thank you for stepping up and doing that. So I just want to say it has been a one of the honors of a lifetime to be trusted with serving on the NAIFA-Texas board, and to have gotten to serve with all of these people, and to get to continue to serve in different capacities on the national and on the state level. So I just want to say thank you. And I want to encourage everybody that's dialed into this call, come on, we need you. And it's a great place to be, and you'll be glad that you did.
And as Doug said, if I can quote Doug, it won't let you fail. Right, Doug?
That's right. They won't let you fail. We won't let you fail.
Randy, President Randy, anything in closing?
I have nothing in closing. I've said everything I need to say, which is a lot.
Well, I want to thank all of y'all for doing this. I haven't been in a room with the 5 of you together in a long time, and it sure has been fun. Jason Talley sends apologies for technical issues, but it's still a magical Monday. Thank you everybody for joining, and I'm sorry that not everybody got to talk that had questions, but hey, it was my job. So y'all have a good one, and thank you. Gentlemen, thanks so much. We'll close it out now.